Introduction to the Sun of Super Black Hole. Cultivation+decisive killing+war+high technology+unified immortal realm+super civilization, a bastard technology giant on Earth, combining 4th and 10th level civilizations to break free from the constraints of super civilization on human DNA. Chapter 1. A Romance. You are listening at novelfull.audio. A deep space spacecraft from Earth is constantly flashing and jumping in the deep sky. Sun Gang, a demon scientist on Earth, made crucial contributions to the military technology of the dynasty with his super memory and super brain, changing the status of the dynasty and the pattern of war. Due to his inner resistance to the system and human nature on his home planet, he resolutely left his home planet and explored the distant deep space. This deep space exploration was purposeful. As soon as he was born, there was a star map in his brain space, and he occasionally received mysterious calls from deep space. On the parent planet, the leader of the 10-winged sect, Bai Ting, used the sect's secret technique to change Sun Gang's cell activity, causing him to age backwards and return to the age of 20. Sun Gang, who was not afraid of the heavens and the earth, returned to this youthful and energetic age. He couldn't contain the restlessness in his heart and convinced his wife Suanan to explore the deep sky. This time, he wanted to find the distant deep sky, that mysterious call. The deep space spacecraft headed straight towards the source of the call. As the deep space spacecraft approached the Biao star, a noblewoman wearing a phoenix crown suddenly woke up from her deep sleep. She murmured, "Come, come, you finally came." Sun Gang is playing with Banji on the spaceship. Banji is the person in charge, chief scientist, and manufacturing supervisor of Sun Gang's Earth research base. Xiongde is in charge of various metal analysis, smelting, and production. Xiong Air is responsible for the research and use of machine tools. Cat Group, the nickname given by Sun Gang's early 7 special forces, his personal guards, Big Cat Zhao Dianchen, and Second Cat Gun God He Yen. Gun God He Yen was later assigned to the Cat Group, replacing the deceased Second Cat. As the only female member of the Cat Group, she was known as the Cat Woman. Xiongde and Xiong Air are studying the data of deep space flight. According to the starting point of the call, the coordinates should be nearby. At this moment, the deep space spacecraft suddenly lost control and was attracted by a mysterious gravity, tilting towards a certain planet. Sun Gang urgently ordered the adjustment of the attitude of the deep space spacecraft in order to break free from this inexplicable gravitational force. At this moment, a voice suddenly came from Sun Gang's brain, "I am the Empress Dowager of the 9th Heavenly Realm on the Biao planet interface. My name is Yuehui and I have sent you the star map across the sky. I will give you a chance, as well as a love story." Upon hearing this, Sun Gang spoke decisively, "No, I don't lack women." Yuehui hurriedly replied, "My daughter, Polly, is very beautiful and has already succeeded as the Emperor of Biao Star." Sun Gang didn't answer again, sneering repeatedly. "Is it a chance? Is it romantic? There is no free lunch." He turned on the power output of the deep space spacecraft to its maximum load, trying to break free from this strange gravitational wave. Yuehui continued to say, "My daughter, the Baoli Emperor, is a once-in-a-lifetime genius. You come over here." Yuehui suddenly exerted force, and gravity suddenly erupted. The deep space spacecraft was attracted by the sudden burst of spiritual power from the moon and headed directly towards the Biao star. Sun Gang had already visible the planet Biao to the naked eye, and the deep space spacecraft rapidly released its thrust, but the spacecraft still plunged at the speed of sound. He instantly released the gravity engine, all the power, and forcefully twisted the spacecraft's attitude. The deep space spacecraft, which was thousands of kilometers long, still roared and headed straight to the ground of Biao star to crash. With a loud bang, the spacecraft finally fell to the surface of Biao star. A spacecraft for deep space exploration with the function of defending against meteorite impacts. Although the anti-vibration device inside the spacecraft had already been activated, it completely confused Sun Gang and others. In the 9 heavens of the cultivation world of Bayaoxing, there is a stunning beauty who appears to be around 15 years old. Her skin is as transparent as white jade, with a towering nose bridge, pink lips, long eyelashes, and big eyes. Her gaze is somewhat sharp. She is wearing a black dress, embroidered with the Bayaoxing totem on her chest, and wearing an imperial crown. She sits on the most prominent imperial throne of Bayaoxing, constantly emitting an invisible energy field. She is the young Boleyi Emperor. The Emperor Polly is talking with her red hair. Li Bao, the red hair that she was born with, has become her own red hair. She can break away from it at any time and become the same person as herself, said the grandfather of Tianji Gate. This red hair is the essence and blood of Emperor Boleyi, as well as his love. Therefore, her grandfather named her Li Bao, symbolizing the Li Bao of the Boleyi Emperor. Emperor Boleyi discovered that there was a large amount of spiritual energy fluctuation in the sleeping Empress Mother, and the entire 9 heavenly immortal realm followed suit. In a blink of an eye, Emperor Boleyi went to the residence of Empress Mother Yuehui. Boleyi Emperor saw his mother Yuehui sitting with her eyes closed and her face pale. When Yuehui saw her daughter Boleyi Emperor arrive, she opened her eyes and said weakly, "Li Bao, hurry up and go. The love story of Boleyi Emperor has arrived. You must keep an eye on this love story and don't let him run away. He has the family treasure, star map, on him, which is easy to find." The red-haired Li Bao quickly flew away from Jichangshan and headed straight for Sun Gang's position. The weak Yuehui said to her daughter Polly, "I finally summoned him. The person who can be selected in the star chart must be an extraordinary person, Polly. My mother lost her life to divine for you, and he is destined to be your love." After hesitating for a moment, Emperor Boleyi said, "Mother, do you believe in the star chart so much? It has been in the form of a scroll for thousands of years in the Biao star era, and its known use is to shield the sky, while other uses are unknown." Mother Yuhui replied, "The ancestors of your mother's Tianji sect all confirmed that the star map is a treasure. When your brother was born, the star map vibrated. Your father believed that the star map was related to your brother, so your brother named it Baotu. Your father gave the star map to your brother to carry with him." Yu Hui choked up and said, "Your brother died in battle when a foreign princess invaded. The star map has been lingering for a long time, and it was only after the mother had the opportunity to seal your brother's soul elemental baby in the star map and sleep soundly, protect your brother's soul elemental baby, and throw the star map out of the interface and escape with a great spell. Boleyi. Your brother's soul primordial baby is still in the star chart for the time being. Don't take it back to prevent the foreign princess from finding the star chart. She not only wants the star chart, but also devours your brother's soul." Yu Hui's spiritual power was overdrawn, and sweat soaked through her clothes. At this moment, she spoke intermittently to Emperor Boleyi, "This person is your fate. Your mother laid out many years ago and only seduced him. You should cherish it. Daughter, you must treat him with sincerity. His future cannot even be predicted by his mother, perhaps only he can break the game of Bayaoxing." Yu Hui expended too much spiritual power and tugged at Sun Gang's deep space spaceship, causing Empress Dowager Yu Hui, who had already been injured, to fall asleep again. Sun Gang, the star map that was born in his brain, turned out to be Polly's mother, Yuehui. She threw it out from the sky and flew to Earth to actively acknowledge her master. After a brief recovery, Sun Gang instructed Big Cat to manually activate the spacecraft's self-inspection system and start checking for damage. The spacecraft lost control and quickly crashed into the ground, causing damage to the anti-gravity engine, while everything else was normal. For a full 10 minutes, the dust generated by the impact settled before they could see outside. Sun Gang chose to open the top hatch and walked out, while Ban Jia and the others followed out cursing. Looking around, the ground was sunken by the impact, and the massive body of the spacecraft crashed into the ground for more than 2 meters. The nearby soil was overturned by the shock wave, and the animals and plants within 100 miles were cleared by the huge shock wave of the collision, leaving the scene in a mess. Sun Gang, who was observing the situation, suddenly shook the star map in his brain area lightly and slowly stretched and enlarged it over his brain area until it completely covered it. At the same time, his brain automatically generates information about the stars, and his brain automatically generates language about the stars. The information content is an introduction to Biao planet. The location of their fall shows that it is located outside the demon realm of the human realm of Yaoxing. By Yaoxing, the plane of advanced civilization, the cultivation realm with a complete cultivation system, has a population of hundreds of billions, and the main body includes the human realm and the cultivation realm. The cultivation world is divided into 9 heavens, which are the highest level of the cultivation world. Among them, the immortal world has a population of billions. Among them, there are also demon realms, and underworld realms. The cultivation system is mainly divided into 2 parts. One is the development of the body. The body is the carrier of life and spiritual power. The amount of spiritual power that the body can store, that is, the amount of energy that the body can store, is determined by the level of combat effectiveness. The second is, the soul power in the brain domain world is dominated by thoughts, controlling the release of spiritual power in various forms, or attacking or flying, which means that soul power needs to be strong. The amount of spiritual power a person possesses is the fundamental energy of their body, and the energy stored in their body is called combat power. The energy that determines how this combat power is released is controlled by the power of their soul. The combination of physical combat power and soul power gives rise to the value of force, which determines the level of force. That is to say, the sum of the 2 systems divided by 2 is the total force value. This interface has 9 as the extreme number, with 2 levels of cultivation systems, ranging from 1.0 to 9.0. Each major level is divided into 1.9 minor levels of the dungeon. 4.0 force value is a watershed. When cultivating immortals to 4.0, they must accept Thunder Calamity, overcome Thunder Calamity, ascend to the immortal realm, rank in the immortal class, and if they cannot withstand Thunder Calamity, they will be killed. There is a significant difference in the strength values of the same level, and both combat power and soul power are cultivated to their peak. The strength value is the strongest and a certain system is weak, which affects the total strength value. The combat power and soul power increase to a force value of 9.0, which is the highest force value compared to Yaoxing. In the recorded history of Biao Star, 9.0 force value does not exceed 5 people. Sun Gang is reading these introductions. Suddenly, with a ouch, he noticed a red ring on the ring finger of his left hand. He tried to take off the red ring, but no matter how he tried, it seemed to blend in with himself. He was studying the ring when a little girl, like a loli, suddenly appeared in front of him. She looked about 15 years old, over 170 years tall, with a high bun, long eyelashes, big eyes, a towering nose bridge, pink lips, and white jade skin that seemed transparent. Her straight legs and red clothes looked somewhat like the Hanfu style on her mother planet. The workmanship was exquisite and she looked like a high-end product, with an unparalleled appearance and ethereal aura. Little girl, look up and down at Sun Gang. First meeting, Li Bao really likes him in his heart. He is about 20 years old, 185 meters tall, and has a very handsome appearance. He has sharp eyebrows and starry eyes, and a 3-dimensional face carved with knives and axes. Sun Gang's appearance after his age and weight loss, his eyes are slightly raised, his gaze is extremely aggressive, and he is wild and unrestrained. Li Bao looked at Sun Gang and thought to herself, this is a marriage arranged by the Queen Mother. My future husband is a perfect match for us. She clearly felt her heart beating fiercely a few times, suppressing the restlessness in her heart and saying, my name is Li Bao, I am the love of Emperor Baoli. You are the destined husband of Emperor Baoli. Mother, let me keep an eye on you. Sun Gang touched his chin and said thoughtfully, my name is Sun Gang. Let's not talk about romance for now. I was pulled down from the sky by the mother of Emperor Boleyi, Yu Hui. I remember this grudge. Libo, hastily swaying her little hand, said, you can't hold grudges. Your mother.in.law is your mother.in.law, and you will marry Emperor Boleyi in the future. Sun Gang asked, who is the Boleyi Emperor? Libo answered, Boleyi the Great is the great emperor of Biao Star. He is in charge of the whole Biao Star. I am her love. We look the same. Everything is shared, including vision and feelings. Sun Gang, he doesn't want to pay attention to the issue of Emperor Boleyi now. What he is concerned about is that the scientific end of theology, which has been painstakingly searched for, has finally emerged. His biggest interest now is the issue of cultivating immortals. He quickly invited Libo to sit inside the spaceship and asked Libo, do you have any secret techniques for cultivating immortals? More is better. Li Bao is really good when there are more. He is bustling in the brain space, releasing a bunch of secret techniques, all of which are the top cultivation techniques of the 9th level heaven. Sun Gang let out a woe of cheers and began to look through the cultivation techniques. His speed of flipping through the secret manuals of the techniques was terrifying. He had a super memory, and on Earth, with up to 300 threads of thought in his super brain, he helped the dynasty develop many military weapons. In the super brain, each of the 300 threads can perform independent calculations and think independently. When developing weapons, each thread was able to simulate a 3D drawing independently. Finally, the 300 threads were merged together and summarized for use by the brain's main thread. It's okay if you don't understand. Yu reading at www.yuyukeangshu.net, reading Sun Gang's previous novel, Bastard Husband Unlimited Arrogance, released by Tomatoes. Sun Gang knew the importance of these cultivation techniques. Without the secret script of the techniques, there was no way to start cultivation, not even a basic reference frame. This was a gap in civilization that could not be directly compensated for. This advanced civilization was the result of billions of years, a massive number of people, and countless generations of trial and error. Is it something that an individual could come up with? He immediately activated the multi-threaded auxiliary mainline, activating memory and thinking. Those who were flipping through this martial arts secret script were about to fly, dazzling, and he began to memorize quickly. At this moment, Sun Gang's brain started overclocking, and his computing power was completely overloaded. He instantly overheated his brain, emitting hot air like a steamer, creating a spectacular atmosphere. Gun God He Yen quickly took the nutrient solution from the spaceship and poured it directly into Sun Gang's mouth to replenish the evaporated body fluid and nutrients. The situation in Sun Gang's brain domain became more complex. The brain's computing power was overloaded, pulling all the usable substances in the brain domain to supplement. This was inevitable. An invisible soul power was forcibly requisitioned by the brain, and at this time, the star map seemed to be much dimmer, and a certain energy of the star map was also requisitioned by the brain. In his brain, everything converges towards the computing brain, and 300 threads are clearly not enough. With the support of that mysterious soul power and the energy of the star map, the brain forcibly opens 400 threads to participate in the computing power of the memory area. He quickly memorized page by page. He finally flipped through all the techniques and remembered them. These techniques were all sorts of strange and varied, including cultivating immortals, formations, refining weapons, and a variety of things. Now, Sun Gang is more than the encyclopedia of Yaoxing. Laboka was stunned, her eyes were dazzling. She didn't know what the future husband, the Boleyi Emperor, was doing. Chapter 2. Emperor Boleyi. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Although Sun Gang was very tired, he forcefully opened 400 threads, which he didn't expect. Let's stick to it. He quickly compiled all the cultivation secrets, and big data shows that the basic stage of these techniques is to first develop the body, with the general direction being the same, but there are slight differences in the techniques. He first tried to connect the 8 extraordinary meridians and selected the body with the highest proportion of data to develop the technique. He tried to develop and operate his own 8 extraordinary meridians according to the record of the technique. He, who had already opened up the 2 meridians of Ren and Du, gradually began to connect and operate one by one, with the 8 meridians of the extraordinary scriptures being illuminated. The main roads leading to Rome ultimately pointed to the Dantian and brain regions. Sun Gang understood that body cells are responsible for energy conversion, absorbing and converting external spiritual energy into spiritual power of the body. The spiritual power is stored in the Dantian through the 8 extraordinary meridians, and when needed, it is released through the 8 extraordinary meridians. The 8 extraordinary meridians are approximately equivalent to highways, carrying and transporting spiritual energy into and out of the body, completing what you want to do. The brain domain is the command center, with thoughts dominating soul power and releasing spiritual power into various spells. At this moment, exhausted, he reluctantly said to Libo, "Can you give me some energy from spirit stones?" Libo nodded and said, "Oh, yes." Li Bao immediately exclaimed from her brain space with a crash. "Release a pile of spirit stones, like a small mountain piled up in front of Sun Gang, saying, 'I only have top-quality spirit stones.'" Sun Gang knew in the introduction that there are several levels of spirit stones, and Li Bao, the spirit stone, is the most advanced product at first glance. It is crystal clear and emits a faint radiance. Sun Gang immediately regained his composure and was eager to hug Li Bao, which frightened him. He quickly dodged and patted his chest with his small hands. Li Bao, who was at a loss, said something, "Men and women who give and receive without marriage, oh. Banji and the others are laughing so hard. This little woman obviously doesn't adapt to this master's style. This master is a fierce person who dares to do anything, and he doesn't care if you are immortal or not." Sun Gang also smiled. "Li Bao, this little girl, is really cute." Due to the special nature of Li Bao, communication-related foreign affairs activities are mostly attended by the body of Baoli. She hardly communicates with people, and chatting is also a dialogue between herself and the body. In addition, Comrade Sun Gang does not play cards according to common sense, which leads to her feeling stuck. She is not intellectually challenged, but lacks social experience. More precisely, she has some social barriers. Sun Gang ignored Li Bao and shifted his interest to the top-grade spirit stone. He picked up the spirit stone and carefully observed it. The top-grade spirit stone was heavy and heavier than gold. He took a bite of the spirit stone and didn't even leave a trace. This thing is really hard. The density of this top-grade spirit stone is too high. Suddenly, the star map in Sun Gang's brain domain shook violently. He felt a heat flow, rushing from the meridian in his palm towards the Dantian, and then passing through the meridian towards the star map in his brain domain. It felt like an electric shock, crispy, and the top-grade spirit stone in his hand disappeared in minutes. Sun Gang was puzzled, could he absorb spirit stones after his unique meridians and 8 meridians were connected? He quickly picked up another spirit stone to try, and the same situation persisted. With a crisp and numb sensation, the spirit stone quickly disappeared again. Sun Gang pondered, where have these spirit stones gone? According to the cultivation technique, spirit stones are converted into spiritual power through their bodies and should be stored in the elixir field. How do you feel like the star map has been absorbed? How did the spiritual power enter the Dantian and quickly reach the star map position? He has not fully digested and understood the specific situation of cultivating immortality yet. To put it simply, he is still a novice now. He simply threw himself onto the pile of spiritual stones, stroking them with both hands. His touch of the pile of spiritual stones was so damaging that they were all adjacent, and the stones began to disappear one by one. Sun Gang was immediately excited. Although he didn't understand yet, he was certain that the disappearance of the spirit stone had something to do with him. Anyway, it had entered his own body, which was definitely a good thing. So, Sun Gang called Banji and the members of the cat group and said, "What are you still doing in such a daze? Everyone is grasping to absorb the spirit stone." So everyone quickly picked up the spirit stone to observe and imitate, but the spirit stone did not react at all, and they did not know how to absorb it. They were not like Sun Gang who could absorb it automatically. However, the current situation of Sun Gang seems to be not very good. With his continuous absorption, his body cells are extremely active and boiling at high speed. His unique meridians and 8 meridians can no longer withstand it. He now feels like his whole body is on fire. He has been producing heat energy when opening threads for years, and his ability to withstand heat is already very strong. At this time, he can no longer withstand it. His meridians were burning and burning all over him. Sun Gang's body cells were once, by Ting, and transformed with the 10-winged sect secret script, which requires the conversion of body cells to convert spirit stones into spiritual power. The activity of his transformed cells plays a crucial role. The energy contained in the top-grade spirit stones is as good as that of a person who has just opened their meridians. It is not bad to absorb one top-grade spirit stone a year. Sun Gang wanted to take away his 2 hands, but he couldn't do it anymore, as if he was being sucked in. He felt fortunate and shouted, "Li Bao," in his heart, "Help me quickly." Li Bao's head is short-circuited, and she has never seen or heard of such an absorption of spirit stones. In such a short time, dozens of top-quality spirit stones have disappeared like this. That's top-quality spirit stone. The energy contained in it is amazing. Has he absorbed it like this? Did he not only absorb it, but also absorb it quickly? The key is, he hasn't been overwhelmed by spiritual energy yet. Upon hearing Sun Gang call her, Li Bao regained consciousness and urgently waved her hand. As a result, Sun Gang was supported by a force and moved aside. He finally escaped from the sea of suffering, and his meridians were too painful. The rapid flow of spiritual energy caused the meridians to overheat for a short time. Sun Gang was pleasantly surprised to find that this top-grade spirit stone had enormous energy. What he didn't know was that this top-grade spirit stone was also a rare item in the 9 heavens, and not everyone could come up with a pile. Some immortals were also very hard-working. Sun Gang couldn't care about the surprise and pain anymore. He felt the star map in his brain, which seemed to be cheering and jumping. He was very puzzled. Is the star map perceptible? When he was studying the star map of the brain domain, the Boleyi Emperor, who was far away in the 9th heaven, was unhappy. Due to shyness, even those who have never been in a relationship are like this. Anyway, they are a bit uneasy about their future husband. This is a marriage arranged by the Empress Dowager. His Empress Dowager is the most powerful retired leader of the Tianji sect on the Shining Star, and his Empress Dowager is a perfect immortal emperor. Although Emperor Baoli had many suitors, she ignored them because her mother had said that with the companionship of Li Bao, she was destined to have her marriage chosen by fate. Although she had been mentally prepared and even hoped for the arrival of this day, she was extremely nervous when this person named Sun Gang really came. In the 9 heavens, through Li Bao's shared vision, Emperor Baoli examined Sun Gang and found that her future husband's appearance was very demonic, which Emperor Baoli quite liked. However, she saw Sun Gang flipping through the cultivation secrets haphazardly, and even Emperor Baoli couldn't imagine that he had such a demonic memory. In the eyes of Emperor Baoli, he looked like he was ignorant and didn't take his studies seriously. He also showed a greedy appearance even after seeing the spirit stone. The most unbearable thing is that he is still so frivolous, even wanting to hug Li Bao. This is clearly an ignorant and inexperienced disciple. The Baoli Emperor couldn't help but go straight to the scene through her and Li Bao's special nature. Sun Gang, we are observing and contemplating issues in the brain domain. Suddenly, with a flash of anger, Emperor Boleyi appeared on stage. Boleyi Emperor stood on the deep space spacecraft, and the spacecraft's warning system immediately indicated that there was a living creature approaching. Sun Gang saw the Boleyi Emperor through the big screen. He was taken aback for a moment. Needless to say, it must have been Li Bao's words that his fiancée A.E., whom he had never met before, had arrived. She was dressed in a black dress, embroidered with a golden Biao star totem on her chest, and devoted her life to prosperity with an unparalleled charm. At the moment, the cold eyes matched the beautiful face, which is exactly the same as Li Bao's face, but the two people have different styles. Li Bao is silly, cute and ethereal, and Emperor Boleyi is a high cold empress with the aura of being superior, giving people a look of being unable to climb up. Because the clothes of Emperor Boleyi and Li Bao are the same, both of them are top Han style clothes. The same appearance and height make it easy to benchmark. One is a cold empress with a black and unattainable aura, and the other is a goddess named Loli with a fiery red and cute charm. AB version, unparalleled double pride. Sun Gang sighed inwardly, the temperament of immortals is different. He opened the top hatch of the spaceship and walked out with everyone. Emperor Boleyi looked coldly at Sun Gang. First meeting, it doesn't seem beautiful. At this moment, Emperor Boleyi spoke first. My mother, it is estimated that you are my fate, which is why I came to see you. However, I am very disappointed. You are greedy for money, lustful, and ignorant. The comments of Emperor Boleyi made Sun Gang unhappy. This bastard's temper is not used to you, replied Emperor Boleyi. You're right, I'm the kind of person you're talking about. You're talking about basic human nature, food and sex. Who's not greedy for money? Which man is not lascivious? Who wants to tell you that he has no desire, so he's so completely devoid of desire? Are he still in love? Are he still married? Are he still practicing? Isn't that a deceitful person with a natural appearance? I have also read many immortal cultivation novels, which are nonsensical and nonsensical. Cultivation itself is desire, and desire itself is right. Desire is the driving force. You immortals are also cultivated and refined by humans. In other words, the root cause is still human, and human nature is the same. At most, you immortals have a higher level of greed and demand, and they just don't like us small citizens. What's more, when cultivating immortals, they have no feelings and desires, forget their parents, forget their brothers and sisters, and forget their loved ones. Isn't that heartless? Longevity is nothing but walking corpses. I'd rather not be such an immortal. Boleyi Emperor was a bit angry. Although he was right, no one dared to speak to her, the new Emperor of the Nine Heavens, like this. Boleyi Emperor suppressed his temper and said, clever and persuasive. Sun Gang is even more unhappy, Boleyi Emperor. As soon as he comes up, he scolds Sun Gang for being greedy for money and lustful. This master won't get used to you, he said. If you're willing to listen, I'm not willing to say it yet. I'll tell you, I already have several wives, and you can't even rank. No matter how impressive you are, I don't mind it. Li Bao saw these two people talking and quickly said, Boleyi Emperor, the Queen Mother said it was your fate. Emperor Boleyi said to Li Bao, this is fate, I don't care. I don't want it anymore. I want to take back my love, you come back with me. Li Bao replied, evil fate is also fate. If you listen to the words of the Empress Mother, I have already confirmed that it is him. Didn't you see how much spiritual power the Empress Mother spent to catch him? Don't be so petty, Boleyi Emperor. If I leave, it will be difficult to find him. Boleyi Emperor suppressed his anger and said, Li Bao, you are my mistress. I have already regretted getting married. Why do you persist? If you like it, you can follow him. I'm sure I don't want this person anymore. Li Bao felt a bit confused and then said in a aggrieved tone, but we are sharing it. Emperor Baoli was very angry and directly took away Li Bao's spirit stone and martial arts secret script from afar, saying, "I will take all of this away, and I will also disconnect sharing. You can no longer take anything from our space, and I will not interfere with your affairs." Emperor Baoli looked at Sun Gang again and said, "My brother's soul is with you, and I want to take away the star map." Sun Gang smiled and said, "I never knew your brother's soul, and also, the star map is in my brain, and you can't take it away." Baoli Emperor snorted coldly and said, "You must have some misunderstandings about the great emperor. I can take anything from your mind, including your soul, at any time. Don't even mention you, there's nothing that the entire Biao star cannot do." Li Bao immediately became extremely nervous and opened her arms to protect Sun Gang, saying, "Baoli Emperor, don't do this. Your husband is very kind. If you take everything, he is likely to die." Emperor Baoli wanted to test it, because she had already scanned Sun Gang's soul power. Her dantian was withered, and her spiritual power was almost non-existent. Her brain was strange and chaotic, and even her soul power as the emperor could not be seen through. Emperor Baoli pretended to be angry and pretended to be burning with anger. "He's just a waste." Yu reading www.yuukeungshu.net. Do you see if he has any cultivation? He doesn't even know how to say a word. What do I want him to do? The sole power of Emperor Baoli is to absorb the star map in Sun Gang's brain from afar. This action is very dangerous, and the invasion of soul power into the brain will make Sun Gang's immortality dementia. The soul power of Emperor Baoli is about to enter Sun Gang's brain. She is the pinnacle of the 9 heavens and the strongest compared to the Yaoxing, so her soul power naturally expands and expands. Just as Emperor Baoli was about to withdraw his soul power. At a critical moment, a silhouette flew out of Sun Gang's pocket, blocking the soul power of Emperor Baoli first. The lingering shadow blocked the soul power of Emperor Baoli and quickly slapped him in the mouth. Sun Gang was stunned. What happened between the lightning and the fire? Sun Gang quickly opened the 400-thread auxiliary mainline for memory playback, slowing down the visual speed, but he still didn't see it clearly. It wasn't until the Baoli Emperor was scolded that he could see it clearly. It was the secret script of the 10-winged sect leader that Bai Ting gave him. The plot inside the bastard's husband's unlimited arrogance was released by Tomato. Can a book work on its own? Sun Gang sighed. This is really a world of cultivating immortals. Since Sun Gang was forced to become the leader, he has been carrying this secret book of his school and studying metaphysics, mainly in memory of the deceased, Bai Ting. After defeating the Baoli Emperor, Sun Gang's sect secret script flew directly into Sun Gang's brain domain. The secret to entering the brain domain was found in the most prominent position, and he flipped through the pages of the book with a clatter, closing them after flipping through them. Sun Gang discovered that it had changed and turned into 3 books. Sun Gang was so surprised that he almost screamed out, and the written versions of the 3 books were prominently written, Lianshan, Guizhang, and Zhouyi. Aren't these 3 books combined to form the Book of Changes? Is the secret to the 10-winged gate the Book of Changes? Chapter 3. Repentance of Marriage. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Emperor Baoli is also confused. Did he get beaten up? Touching his face, he was indeed beaten up. It was a groundbreaking achievement. Emperor Baoli has already stood at the peak of this world, and he didn't even have time to defend himself. The anger of being beaten for the first time blinded my original calmness. She was furious and quickly punched Sun Gang, maintaining a hint of clarity in her mind. She only released 3.0 force points and wanted to continue probing Sun Gang. The spiritual power forms a physical attack, like a pool of autumn water, with ripples of spiritual power flowing straight towards Sun Gang. Sun Gang dare not underestimate the Baoli Emperor. She is the Emperor. Her body stores enormous energy, and he also wants to avoid it. Now he has no ability to do so, with a loving expression on his face. Li Bao wants to control this spiritual energy. After all, they share everything, but unfortunately, Boleyi Emperor has unilaterally disconnected sharing. At this moment, the Book of Changes came from the brain of Emperor Boleyi, and the voice of the aged spirit of the book said, "Little girl, seeing that you haven't gone crazy yet and that you are in love with Sun Gang, I will let you go. If you dare to have another chance, I will not spare you. If you want to hit him, you can suppress his level to one level higher than Sun Gang, but killing him is not enough for you." The power of the soul changed the direction of the release of spiritual power, and with a loud bang, it hit the spaceship. The metal alloy material of the spaceship can withstand meteorite impacts in deep space, and the 3.0 power value of the power of the Boleyi Emperor is completely unscathed when hit on the spaceship. She's a bit unresponsive. She's the brain domain of the Emperor, 7.5 brain domains. Can this artifact spirit easily invade? And this strange palace, deep space spaceship, surprisingly unscathed. Boleyi Emperor re-examined the 20-year-old Sun Gang little fart child, who was fearlessly looking at himself. The little fart child was over 185 in height, and when observed face-to-face, his appearance was truly superior in Boleyi Emperor's heart. He belonged to a man with a very demonic appearance, sword eyebrows and stars, and a three-dimensional face carved with knives and axes, his appearance after age and weight loss. His eyes were slightly pointed, extremely aggressive, wild and unrestrained, with an unparalleled aura in the dark. Why does Xiaoli child have the aura of a king? However, with the short hair of this cannon head and the alternative home star costume, does Emperor Boleyi think he must not be a good person? Men who are more outstanding than Yao Xing have long hair, and their clothing styles are also based on long shirts. Sun Gang is a bit like a suit thug on his home planet. Sun Gang, the little brat, didn't know that the Book of Changes had spiritual tools and was activated by the spiritual energy of this world, nor did he know that their souls were communicating. The age of Emperor Boleyi is almost 500 years old, and this age makes him the first person in the world of cultivation in 10,000 years. Therefore, her theoretical lifespan is close to 10,000 years old. 500 years old is still too young for herself, not even a girl. And Sun Gang, who is 20 years old, sigh. About equal to a baby. However, Boleyi Emperor was secretly happy and finally saw that Sun Gang was abnormal. What she was most afraid of was that Sun Gang was ordinary and ordinary. Is the mother still right? Actually, Emperor Boleyi has never questioned the divination of his mother, but this may involve emotional issues, right? After all, it's the first time in love, after all, it's the first time we've met. Emperor Boleyi is not familiar with the realm of love, which leads to a sense of confusion and confusion. Moreover, Emperor Boleyi is already at the highest position compared to Yao Xing, and both his status and strength are difficult to accept in terms of family status. Emperor Boleyi came to his senses, feeling very ashamed and angry, and said to Li Bao, "If you like it, just follow him. I regret getting married. I have closed sharing and I don't want to see him," said the Boleyi Emperor, disappearing and returning to the 9 heavens. The temptation of Emperor Boleyi has ended, and she quickly exchanged her souls with Li Bao. She entrusted Li Bao with something and calmly chose to retreat in a timely manner. Li Bao didn't leave, she insisted on following the orders of the Queen Mother. Sun Gang immediately responded to the situation that had just occurred and gave orders immediately returned to the spacecraft and closed the hatch. After all, the interior of the spacecraft is safer. Gun God He Yen and other members of the Cat Squad looked vigilantly at Li Bao. Sun Gang said, "Let's go in together, our own people." Li Bao was very happy and happily followed in. I thought happily in my heart, I am already my own person. Sun Gang didn't understand what was going on earlier, but he had perception. Perception told him that Li Bao was very safe, and Li Bao even took protective actions. Additionally, he had many things to consult with Li Bao. After Sun Gang asked Li Bao to sit down, he said, "Tell me more about the relationship between Emperor Boleyi and you." Li Bao confides, we are the children of the interface god, Baoming Emperor and Yu Hui's husband and wife. Baoli Emperor is the darling of the entire 9 heavens, with extraordinary talents. At the age of 15, both systems have been cultivated to 4.0, and at the age of 15, he is in the rank of an immortal class. He is the youngest emperor in this world compared to the Yaoxing interface, with combat power of 7.5, soul power of 7.5, and force value of 7.5. Baoli Emperor is the most powerful. She said again, I was born with Emperor Pauli, and all of our abilities can be shared and exchanged. We can also close a single channel, and we even share our strength points. She has 7.5 strength points, and our combined strength is 8.5. When we turn on sharing during battles, we can instantly merge no matter how far apart we are, and our strength points are 8.5. Sun Gang immediately said, aren't you cheating? Are you a special cheat? Libo replied, it's not cheating, we are twins. The main body is the Pauli Emperor from birth, and I use a red hair of the Pauli Emperor as a parasite. My mother said, I am the essence of the Pauli Emperor, and I was born with a force value of 1.0. The Pauli Emperor has no force value, but she started practicing from 0. Sun Gang smiled and said, you were born with 1.0 mana and have been consistently at 1.0, but you haven't made any progress. Your main body of the Baoli Emperor is already 7.5, and your relationship is difficult to define, similar to twins, but you can share and interact with each other. In fact, you are one person, which is not scientific. Sun Gang exclaimed, the gap between you is too huge. Libo answered, I don't have a way to cultivate. I have tried many secret cultivation techniques, but I haven't made any progress. Sun Gang thought of the power value of Li Bao, which cannot be calculated based on 1.0. Adding Bao Li cheats would not be as simple as 1.0, it can be 8.5 at any time. It seems that they are born at their peak. Libo, this 1.0 is not normal, isn't it 1.0? No matter how high Baoli's strength is, Baoli always adds this 1.0 on top of her strength, which means that this 1.0 is an undifferentiated increase. If the host is capped at 9.0, wouldn't it add 10.0 strength? Strange to say, the speed of Baoli Emperor's cultivation is fast. After sharing with Li Bao, she can skip the level and understand the cultivation rules of the higher level in advance, and can warm up at the higher level in advance. Sun Gang suspects that Li Bao is the loophole in this world, and she is the bug. He asked Libo, why are you the same as Pauli the Great? Don't you gods change freely? For example, you can change into an old woman, or you can change into a dog. Libo answered, the appearance of the body is a masterpiece of the Creator and cannot be changed. However, if the soul power is above 3.0, a soul baby can be condensed. With this soul baby, the body can change back and forth. In fact, the body still does not change, only the soul baby changes, covering up the body, which consumes a lot of soul power. If there is no cost of casually changing, there will be no ugly people in the immortal world, all handsome men and beautiful women. Sun Gang understood that soul power above 3.0 changes in various forms with the thoughts in his heart, covering the body. Soul baby is another self that can change in form. He suddenly thought of a question, isn't that right? Why do ordinary people have souls when they go to the underworld after death? Libo answered, yeah. So ordinary people go to the underworld, or ordinary people, they don't have much ability. Their souls are very weak, just souls, not soul primordial babies, their abilities are vastly different. Sun Gang understood and continued to ask, how can the age and appearance of immortals be fixed? Li Bao explained that, the appearance of the body is predetermined from birth and cannot be changed. The age limit is determined by the age at which one becomes an immortal. For example, at the age of 50, in the cultivation system, if one reaches 4.0, they will become an immortal. The age limit for appearance is 50, calculated based on the time of becoming an immortal. Boleyi Emperor is already 4.0 at the age of 15, so our appearance is fixed at the age of 15. However, Boleyi Emperor's later mental state grew with age. My mother said that my psychological age was low, and my mind was mostly stuck at the age of 15. Sun Gang smiled and said, "Isn't mental stagnation equivalent to intellectual stagnation? Why do you tell me everything? You keep asking questions and answering honestly. Aren't you silly?" Libo immediately said, "No, no. When someone asks me, if I don't answer, if I'm not in a good mood, I'll kill you. No nonsense. You're the future husband of the Boleyi Emperor. So you have to answer." Sun Gang thinks that this bear child still believes in death, but he really likes this child who believes in death. Sun Gang said, "Libo, your nickname is Han Han." Libo Han Han. Libo didn't know what silly meant, and it sounded quite pleasant when she called, so she happily agreed. Banji and the others are really sweating for this master in his family. Is it called a fairy silly? I just don't know what will happen if she finds out the meaning of being silly, or if she will kill this guy. Sun Gang has many questions he wants to consult with Li Bao. At this moment, the big cat, Zhao Dianchen, said, "Sir. Look at the big screen quickly." Sun Gang turned his head to look at the big screen and saw many wild animals, birds, and humans coming from outside, surrounding the deep space spacecraft. Li Bao also noticed the situation outside and said to Sun Gang, "You are in the demon realm of the human world. You have invaded their territory, and many fairies have come from outside to cause trouble. I will go out and kill them." Sun Gang was infuriated by Emperor Boleyi and his mood was not beautiful. He said, "I don't need you, but I want to see what abilities fairies have. We haven't seen fairies yet." Sun Gang, who was foolish and bold, ordered all members of the cat group to carry weapons, open the hatch of the spaceship, and go out directly. Banji urgently activated the defense system of the deep space spacecraft. Libo closely followed. As soon as Sun Gang left, he caught the attention of the fairies and they immediately surrounded him. Li Bao reminded Sun Gang to say, 3 of them are already big demons and can transform into humanoid forms. At least they have a strength of 2.5 or more. You should hurry back to the palace and use the spaceship. I'll kill them. When Sun Gang saw the goblins for the first time, they were very excited. In particular, the 3 human-shaped goblins were all dressed like the ancient people on the home star, with long hair and strong body. One of them was still bearded, and the other 2 were the first mock examination. The soldiers they led were all wild beasts and birds, but they were much larger and lacked any novelty. Sun Gang can't see what kind of goblins have changed. They are exactly like people anyway. Unfortunately, none of them are female goblins. How eager he is to see female goblins. You can also seduce and interact with each other. Sun Gang said to the humanoid fairy, "Hello, comrades fairies." Who knew that those humanoid fairies were very unfriendly, and they immediately said angrily, "Despicable humans, you have entered the demon realm and destroyed our territory. You must compensate us with a large amount of spirit stones, yes, a large, very large amount of spirit stones." Sun Gang smiled and said, "I think this is a misunderstanding. I still want the spirit stone. You guys go back. I'm new here and I'm not familiar with the place, so I don't want to cause any trouble for now." The 3 humanoid fairies immediately turned their faces and said, "If you can't take out the spirit stone, you'll have to die." The humanoid fairy had already noticed that they had no cultivation level. That girl only had a cultivation level of 1.0, and she didn't even enjoy eating. She decided to kill them directly and then hand them over. The gun god in the cat group, He Yen, saw that the humanoid fairy was actually attacking, and immediately fired a shot. The sniper rifle made a crisp sound, and the bullet headed straight towards the humanoid fairy. The humanoid fairy made a slight movement and managed to dodge. At the same time, it flew over directly and headed straight for Hien. The big cat saw that the sniper rifle was not working properly, so it immediately switched to a laser gun and fired a shot at the humanoid fairy. The defense system of the spacecraft immediately activated, quickly revealing its fangs and terrifying waves of tremendous energy, revealing its killing intent and staring intently at the external enemies on the scene. Li Bao was assumed to be a friend by Banji and not targeted by the attack system. She only had a laser cannon watching her, so it didn't feel as strong. However, she was in many energy fields, and her hair was still fluttering in the wind. The feeling of the three humanoid fairies was particularly evident, as there were several suddenly exposed holes, dark and emitting energy fluctuations that could destroy the sky and earth. When they were sluggish, the laser gun was instantly lit up, and the high-energy beam quickly pierced through the head of the humanoid fairy. The humanoid fairy's head was pierced by a finger-thick beam of light, making a transparent hole in the front and back. The head did not even bleed, and the humanoid fairy collapsed directly onto the spacecraft, revealing its body, resembling the corpse of a giant lizard. The other members of the cat squad were all special forces and had extremely quick reactions on the battlefield. They immediately launched attacks on the other two humanoid fairies, and the beams of 6 laser guns were instantly fired with unparalleled accuracy, hitting all heads. Wherever the energy carried by the beam passes, it is completely penetrated and dissolved, and the beam rushes towards the distance. 2 humanoid fairies with permanent holes in their heads, they don't even know how they died. Other fairies immediately rose into the air and began to attack in a disorderly manner. All members of the cat group quickly counterattacked, and the beams of the laser gun flickered intermittently, taking away lives one by one. The laser beam melted everything forward, piercing through every spot it passed. The cat group quickly approached Sun Gang, with the muzzle facing outwards, releasing the energy of the beam. The big cat quickly pulled Sun Gang into the interior of the spacecraft, while other members of the cat group orderly retreated into the deep space spacecraft. Li Bao was surprised by the huge energy fluctuations behind her, as well as the reaction speed of the cat group. She was even more surprised by their hidden weapons, which silently took the lives of 3 great demons and silently harvested a large amount of life. Gang Gu is very angry, and the consequences are very serious. Sun Gang instructed members of the cat group, give me a call and clear this place of 100 miles. Dare to attack me, your master. Chapter 4. Brain Domain Space. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Cat group members immediately answer, at the same time, well-trained individuals returned to their workstations and quickly pressed various commands. In an instant, the spacecraft's attack system was activated, and small missiles with various functions roared out. The kinetic energy guns also hit indiscriminately, even launching white phosphorus shells. In the sky above the spaceship, the missiles quickly and orderly covered the Earth from near to far, pushing and spreading outward from the center of the spaceship, blooming everywhere. The energy is raging in the sky, and the sound resounds through the clouds. The white phosphorus bullet landed on the body of the monster, like the fire of hell burning its skin and bones. The monsters that came, amidst the chaotic explosion, could not even hear their screams, and even war reporters and falcons had no chance to fly away. The cat team has launched 5 super large caliber laser cannons, patrolling important targets back and forth, ready to strike any unexpected situations that may arise. The cat team is on standby for long-range weapons, heavenly nuclear weapons, and even biochemical weapons. Big Cat even activated the preheating of the giant Star Destroyer cannon, which is a weapon for destroying large meteorites. The already chaotic scene was once again covered by firepower. Sun Gang finally ordered a halt to the destruction. The scene suddenly quieted down. This time, with prolonged firepower coverage, there were no signs of life on the surface. This is the first collision between technological civilization and cultivation civilization. Sun Gang spread his hands and said to the stunned Li Bao, "It's quiet now, we have time to talk." Li Bao was indeed shocked, watching the dazzling array of weapons flying out on the screen, the rapid explosion of dense flames, the dazzling light, constantly flickering. Li Bo has always been at ease in Jichangshan and has never experienced these cruel scenes. Li Bao said to Sun Gang with a dry mouth and tongue, "I want to go out and take a look, oh." Sun Gang asked the big cat to open the cabin door, and a wave of heat rushed towards her. Li Bao immediately opened the spiritual shield, blocking the surrounding heat. Within the area radiated by the spiritual shield, the spiritual power rippled like water ripples, chaotic and twisted, like a large amount of thermal energy evaporating in the air, illusory in time and space. Sun Gang accompanied Li Bao and suddenly felt cool. He secretly made up his mind to cultivate immortality. Although Li Bo had already predicted what was happening, the sense of being present, the sense of sight, the fact that it was not a fight, but the firepower of war, and the empathy that struck her nerves, could not be said to be fear or excitement. 100 miles away, not to mention living organisms, even the forest has been wiped out. Looking around, the view is broad, with only smoke and clusters of flames burning tenaciously. Li Bao didn't understand why the fiancé of Emperor Baoli, who had no cultivation at all, and his followers were also ordinary humans, could create such huge damage points. Li Bo witnessed with her own eyes, and they just moved their fingers. Sun Gang is afraid that Li Bao has ideas. This is a collision of two different civilizations, and she is unaware of technological civilization, similar to a generational difference. Sun Gang needed to give Li Bao an explanation, so he racked his brains and pointed to the spaceship under his feet, saying, It was hit by a spaceship, not by us, do you believe it? Li Bao's eyes lit up immediately and she said, Is it a spaceship? Did this luxurious palace do it? The palace is a treasure. It's a treasure, so powerful. Sun Gang quickly said, Yes, 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 it's the treasure. Sun Gang secretly rejoiced, this little girl is so deceitful. The members of the cat group couldn't hold their breath anymore and turned around to secretly smile. The master had already opened his eyes and told the truth. It was indeed done by the spaceship, and this explanation is reliable. Sun Gang pulled Li Bao back to the interior of the spaceship, so he couldn't let Luo Li think recklessly anymore. He should be friendly to the children. Sun Gang and his companions returned to the interior of the palace and sat down, chatting nonsense. Sun Gang suddenly remembered something and asked Li Bao, where did you take out your cultivation techniques and spirit stones? Li Bo answered, brain space O. He asked Li Bo again, how do you use brain space to store items? Li Bao explained that, when the soul power reaches 2.0, it automatically has the ability to open up brain space. The size of brain space is determined by the level difference. Why is the same 2.0 soul refined to Dungeon 1.9? The sub-level of Dungeon 1.9 corresponds to 1 fly level, 2 low level, 3 primary, 4 intermediate, 5 advanced, 6 special level, 7 super, 8 ultimate, and 9 ultimate, universe level. Therefore, abilities at the same level are different. 2.1 fly level cannot be compared to 2.9 ultimate, 2.9 is faster than 3.0 fly level. Remember, there are rules in this world. When you reach 2.5 advanced, you will have the ability to move on to the next level. Some people can't wait to level up by 3.0, which will result in a level difference. However, if you don't improve at the 9 ultimate dungeon, the laws of heaven and earth will automatically upgrade you to a higher level. The same level of spiritual power is also divided in this way. The use of brain space is to open it with consciousness, that is, to open the brain space with thoughts, to imagine objects entering the brain space with thoughts, or to imagine objects coming out with thoughts. This idea requires soul power support and needs to be cultivated to soul power 2.0 or above. However, at 1.5, one can barely develop the brain space, and the space will be very small, even only 1 cubic meter. This brain space is one's own small world. After listening to Li Bao's explanation, Sun Gang silently looked at the water cup on the table, imagining it entering the brain space. The first time the water cup shook, the first time it flew up a little. Li Bao looked curiously at Sun Gang and said, "Calm down, have no distractions, think about the cup with your mind, it's already in your brain space, don't think about the process, become proficient after the first time." Sun Gang took a breath, closed his eyes, and thought to himself, "Let's go." The water glass was indeed already in his mind. Everyone looked at each other, lying in the trough, the water cup disappeared. "It's amazing, my lord." Li Bao was the most surprised. "This is at level 2.0. How did he do it? The water cup has indeed disappeared. Does he have any brain space?" Li Bao stood up and leaned forward to stare at Sun Gang, the standard curious baby's appearance. As soon as Sun Gang opened his eyes, he was truly startled. The curious baby was so silly and cute. Pink lips and big eyes that never blink. After he moved the water cup into his brain space, he felt very happy and teased Li Bao, "Are you interested in me? There's nothing I can do, I'm just so handsome." Li Bao, blushing immediately, said, "You are your husband, of course you are the best." I am just surprised, you don't have any brain space, do you?" "Oh." Sun Gang smiled and said, "Li Bao, why do you need to bring it when you speak? Why does the Boleyi Emperor just speak without bringing it?" Li Bao answered, "Our thinking is independent. So our words and actions are completely different." Sun Gang knows that they are just an outsider. He said to Li Bao again, "I don't know, is this my brain domain space? Can you help me take a look?" Li Bao nodded and said, "You dragged me in with your thoughts." Li Bao successfully entered Sun Gang's brain space. Li Bao was stunned. His brain space can no longer be described at a normal level, it's too vast, too grand. Especially the vast sea of stars, reflecting the azure sky, above the sky is filled with stars. That sea of stars is like a sea of stars, with stars hanging in the sky like lamps, flickering and flickering, making it difficult to grasp. It's so beautiful that it's suffocating. Sun Gang's mind is definitely not simulated, it's real. He even blinked at Li Bao. Sun Gang looked inside at Li Bao, and when he saw her, he stared blankly at the stars in the sky. He is a bit nervous. Is there something wrong with his brain space? Hurry to ask, "Li Bao, what are you staring at in a daze? Are you stuck again? Is there something wrong with my brain space?" Li Bao, still staring at the starry sea in Sun Gang's brain domain space to answer, "Your brain space is very strange, why is there a starry sky in the sky?" Sun Gang hurriedly asked, "Isn't it like this for you?" Li Bao replied, "It's all a gray sky, mine is a bit blue, but there's no starry sky. Some are for the sake of brain space, beautiful, just simulating a starry sky, but it consumes a lot of soul power." Sun Gang looked at his own brain space in confusion and said, "Isn't this a star map?" Li Bao answered, "However, the star map has been activated in your brain and has vitality. It is real and cannot be shown to others." Sun Gang hurriedly asked, "How do you know it's alive?" Li Bao, staring blankly at the starry sea, said, "Your stars blink. What a beautiful starry sky. Twinkle and shine." Sun Gang suddenly realized, yes. Li Bao reminded him, and only then did he realize that the vast sea of stars in his brain space was much clearer and brighter, as if he had come back to life and was really blinking. Polly asked, "But how come you have brain space?" Sun Gang was very confused and asked, "Is it difficult to have brain space?" Li Bao also said in great confusion, "Is it difficult, okay? Is it good to have a soul power of 2.0 or above? Your brain space is very large, okay? My brain space and that of the Boleyi Emperor are not as big as yours. Your star map blocks the sky's secrets. In fact, the expansion of Sun Gang's brain domain space was provided by the star map. The star map currently does not have as much energy, otherwise it would not be as large as it is now. Additionally, the star map blocks the rules of this world, otherwise Sun Gang's brain domain cannot be so unique and hierarchical. Sun Gang said, "We won't study why anymore. I'll ask you, can brain space store living people?" Libo answered, "No, the brain domain space is just a small world of its own. It is not a complete ecosystem, and there can be no life or death. Therefore, it can only hold items, which is equivalent to spatial artifacts. It is just more convenient and safer." Sun Gang became even more confused and asked, "So how did you live inside?" Libo answered, "I am very special. My current identity is on your finger, and I entered your brain space through ideology." Sun Gang understood and said, "Try to see if the main body can enter. If it cannot survive, exit the main body immediately." Libo said, "You have to authorize me to enter your brain domain small world. In your small world, you will be an invincible king of the same level of soul power." Sun Gang asked, "How to authorize?" Libo answered, "You just agree to let me in with your thoughts, and the other way is for your thoughts to actively transfer me in, as long as I don't resist." Sun Gang immediately transferred Li Bao and entered the brain space. After entering the body of Li Bao, she froze again and continued to look at the starry sea without speaking. Sun Gang asked, "Libo, how are you? Are you dead?" Libo answered, "I'm fine. This place is very suitable for survival, even the air is sweet." Libo said with great difficulty, "Can I live inside? I really like this starry sea." Sun Gang said, "You can live inside, but the problem is, I can't talk to you face-to-face anymore. Do you believe I like you?" Sun Gang teased the silly Libo a little bit. Libo said shyly, "You need to like the Baoli Emperor, and also, you can use your soul power to simulate yourself inside and face me face-to-face. Also, as long as you give me authorization, I can go out and in at any time." So, Sun Gang authorized Li Bao to enter and exit his own brain space. Next, Sun Gang chose a cultivation method called Hengtuo, secret script for body cultivation. Although there is no cultivation method in the second part of Hengtuo, Sun Gang highly recognizes the cultivation system of this secret script. Its cultivation philosophy is to release spiritual power, seal the acupoints of the 8 extraordinary meridians, and then absorb spiritual energy to run inside the body, continuously impacting the acupoints until they can be opened as the benchmark. To be precise, it is the internal circulation of spiritual power that causes the body's meridians to become too thick. The body is forcefully trained horizontally, and after the meridians are completely expanded, the seal is lifted. The downside is that before the seal is lifted, only pure physical attacks can be used, and spiritual power spells cannot be released, which is still very scientific. He closed the acupoints with a special technique according to the description of his cultivation method, and then began the internal circulation of spiritual power until the spiritual power circulated smoothly in the 8 extraordinary meridians, and there was no obstacle to its movement. Sun Gang began his first impact on the acupoints. What puzzled Sun Gang was, why is there a large amount of spiritual power that comes out of the brain space to supply the elixir field and the body when using spiritual power, when there is not much spiritual power in the body originally? This goes against the cultivation mechanism of the Yaoxing cultivation world. Is it not only the dantian that stores spiritual energy? This is not scientific. What puzzled Sun Gang even more was, according to the records in the martial arts secret book, by opening up these meridians, the body will undergo earth-shattering changes. He has continuously practiced 2 types of martial arts, and he feels that only more meridians have been opened up, and there are no other changes. Sun Gang couldn't help but remember the 10-winged gate technique passed down by Bai Ting. At that time, the body underwent earth-shattering changes, cell activity changed, even the frequency of DNA was altered, and even the age was regressed by 10 years. Is the cultivation of the 10-winged gate superior to these techniques? The result of Sun Gang's first pressurization was pain, still pain, really painful. Sun Gang quickly shifted his attention and saw what Li Bao was doing. Don't look, don't know, I'm scared at first glance. Li Bao is very busy, I don't know where she got a tree, a huge tree. Li Bao is moving the soil out of her own brain space and then cultivating the soil for the big tree. Sun Gang felt a bit speechless in pain, and he didn't want to say anything. He just silently watched as Li Bao tossed and turned. Li Bao then carried out some wooden boards from her own mental space, flew up to the big tree, and began to build them with a clanging sound. It seemed like she was going to build a wooden house, which was to make a home for herself. She has such a big heart, it means she needs to stay forever. Li Bao was busy and happy. Suddenly, Emperor Baoli descended and appeared in Sun Gang's brain space. Sun Gang granted Li Bao permission to enter and exit freely. Due to their special nature, it was equivalent to granting Emperor Baoli the same authorization. As soon as Emperor Baoli appeared, he questioned Li Bao, Li Bao, I just opened sharing for a while. Did you move the world tree of Jichangshan here? Chapter 5. Phoenix Demon Pill. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Li Bao, stop your work and answer, this world tree has stopped growing in the temple. I will change its place to grow. The ecological environment here is better than Jichangshan. Upon hearing Li Bao's explanation, Emperor Baoli smiled angrily and said, can a big tree be planted in the brain space? Who can plant a big tree in the brain space? Don't you know that it will die? No life can stay in the brain space for long. There is no ecology in the brain space. Be good, Li Bao, send the world tree back. Li Bao answered, I don't, Sun Gang's brain space can handle it. I've been living inside all along. Li Bao argued again, Sun Gang's brain space is so beautiful. But there's nothing, can't I help him decorate it? Pali the Great was angry and said, Sun Gang's brain space has nothing, how beautiful is it? Li Bao, immediately and confidently pointed to the sky and said, here. Look at the starry sky, you can blink your eyes. The star map has come to life. Baoli Emperor looked up and was also confused, quickly asking, is this a star map? Li Bao, are you sure it's a star map? Li Bao replied arrogantly, saying, I'm sure it has a star chart flavor. Emperor Baoli suddenly remembered a crucial question and asked Li Bao, why does Sun Gang have brain space? Why is his brain space so vast and boundless? Li Bao replied, how do I know? You don't even know, you asked me, and my mother said, Sun Gang is my husband, definitely different. Emperor Baoli began to daydream, trying to digest and understand this information. Upon seeing Emperor Baoli in a daze, Li Bao then used his brain space to invert the soil of Jichangshan. With a wave of his hand, Li Bao smoothed out the soil and poured out a large area of 2-meter-high dense plants, lush and lush, with soil filled with flowers and herbs of different attributes. After Li Bao's twists and turns, Sun Gang's brain space was immediately full of vitality. Li Bao's soil is the soil of Jichangshan, which contains great spiritual energy and is the best soil compared to Yaoxing. Baoli Emperor can't figure it out, let alone her, no one can figure it out. The Baoli Emperor no longer pondered, watching as Li Bao struggled and helped him with his struggles. She moved tables, chairs, benches, buildings, and palaces out of her mental space. Li Bao's small wooden cabin has been built, and Li Bao is lying inside happily. Baoli Emperor also flew up to the cabin, sat down in front of Li Bao, and said to Li Bao, are you determined to live here? Li Bao answered, yeah. I have to show you Sun Gang. The Queen Mother said he can run, but if Sun Gang runs away, you won't have a husband anymore. Emperor Baoli sighed and said, he and I are really mismatched. His growth takes time. I have been cultivating immortality for 500 years, only to reach 7.5, and he cannot surpass me. Li Bao, think about it, how long do we have to wait? The princess of the other race is still hidden in the interface, and the cursed land cannot be suppressed. We can't wait. Perhaps he hasn't had a chance to grow yet, and we have already died in battle. All of this seems meaningless. Li Bao suddenly said, my husband is very powerful. His palace is a treasure that can kill big demons. It's terrifying. Emperor Baoli smiled helplessly and said, I know, and I also saw it through shared vision. His unconventional ways are useful to the human world, but when it comes to the immortal world, it's not enough to see him in front of those high martial arts immortals. Sun Gang's firepower coverage did not involve the use of real weapons, otherwise Emperor Baoli would not have said so. Li Bao's mind has always remained at 15 years older than the age of the star, not as mature as the Baoli Emperor. Li Bao's mind only lives in the present, and she won't think about things for so long. Li Bao ignored the words of Emperor Baoli and spoke directly, give me the trunk of that wudong tree, and I will plant it in Sun Gang's brain space. Emperor Baoli also knew that Li Bao's mind was simple, and it was useless to talk about complex things to her. At most, it was just babbling. Emperor Baoli spoke softly to Li Bao, the wudong tree is an ancient relic of the phoenix family. During the ancient war, it burned its origin and died. It could not be raised in the temple of Jichangshan. It could not live. It was meaningless. Li Bao was so aggrieved that she was about to cry. Her index fingers were on her chest, poking and poking at each other without speaking. Baoli Emperor quickly took out the base of a large tree from his brain space. The trunk had been pruned at the base and had traces of artificial cultivation. He handed it to Li Bao and said, give, don't cry. Li Bao still didn't do it, looking at Baoli Emperor with tearful eyes and saying, only the wudong tree is not enough. Not without the phoenix's demon pill. Baoli Emperor raised his right hand high, pretending to hit Li Bao. Suddenly, 3 books flew in and circled around Li Bao's body, clearly warning Baoli Emperor and protecting him. Emperor Baoli was confused again and asked Li Bao, why have you changed into 3 books? Can books also give birth? Li Bao replied, I don't know, it's just that 1 book has changed to 3 books, and I can still change back to 1 book. Li Bao said again, the wudong tree and the phoenix demon pill are matched. The wudong demon pill may not be revived if there is no wudong tree, said the great boyard, that phoenix's demon pill, but it's the ancient phoenix's demon pill. Jichangshan has been trying to revive it and cannot give it to you. Li Bao was so aggrieved that he wanted to cry again. Baoli Emperor gritted his teeth and took out a football as big as a fiery red demon pill to Li Bao. Li Bao immediately smiled like a flower, kissed the Emperor Baoli and happily planted wudong trees. Emperor Baoli sighed and transferred the soil of Jiuchong Tian to Li Bao in his brain space. Sun Gang looked very angry and said that I couldn't surpass her. Did you almost make Li Bao cry? Sun Gang closed his eyes and focused on his imagination. Baoli rolled out, Baoli Emperor rolled out. Finally, Sun Gang let out a roar, Polly, let me go to your uncle's house. With a shudder, Emperor Baoli disappeared from Sun Gang's brain space. Baoli Emperor sat in the main hall of Jichangshan, trembling and roaring with anger, dead Sun Gang, if you dare to scold me, see if I don't kill you. After roaring, the Baoli Emperor suddenly smiled and whispered, do we all have brain space now? His brain space is really big. I have 7.5% soul power, but I still can't explore the boundaries. This is just like what I should have, Boris. Sun Gang concentrated his thoughts again and muttered, Shao Sun Gang, go in. Shoo, and Sun Gang appeared in front of Li Bao out of thin air. Sun Gang looked at Li Bao and was chewing on a plant in his mouth, curious to ask, Li Bao, what are you eating? Li Bao was clearly startled and answered, sweetgrass, it's very sweet. I really like it. It's sweet. Sun Gang asked, do you immortals also need food? Li Bao answered, not necessary, only those below 4.0 are needed. After ascending to the immortal realm, they no longer need it. The immortal realm eats food just for the sake of appetite. I really like the sweet taste. Sun Gang tried it and it was quite sweet, but there was always residue of sweet grass in his mouth, and the taste was really not good. Sun Gang threw away the sweet grass and said, "Let me give you some candy. Various flavors of lollipops, this thing tastes too bad." Sun Gang, in fact, came for the phoenix demon Dan. The trunk of Wudong tree has been planted by Li Bao. The trunk is actually triangular. The trunk is exposed about 1 meter outside the soil. On the cross-section of the huge trunk, there are Phoenix's demon pills. Sun Gang's eyes are shining at the demon pills on the trunk. Li Bao immediately spoke with alertness, "Don't think about the demon pill. This demon pill will definitely come to life." Sun Gang said that he couldn't understand what he said. "Li Bao, let me give you some science. The demon pill is not a demon egg and cannot sustain life. If that's the case, wouldn't the fairy be immortal? I can only eat this demon pill, and I haven't even eaten Phoenix's demon pill. It's useless if you keep it. What if the shelf life expires? It's just a waste of time." Li Bao seemed frightened and quickly stopped Sun Gang, saying, "The Phoenix's demon pill is different, it can be reborn from nirvana. If my husband doesn't eat it, it's okay. This is the only ancient phoenix." Sun Gang looked at the demon pill with happiness. In his illusion, it seemed to shake for a moment. Is Li Bao right? The cultivation meridians of Sun Gang's body always transmit intense pain, so painful that he cannot even breathe. Sun Gang suddenly gritted his teeth, enduring the excruciating pain, and his face contorted in pain. Li Bao felt something was wrong with Sun Gang and asked, "You seem to be in a lot of pain." Sun Gang talked about cultivating meridians. Li Bao questioned him and said, "Emperor Baoli has already taken away the cultivation method. I saw that you were just flipping through the method haphazardly. How did you remember this horizontal cultivation method? This is abnormal." Sun Gang spread his hands and said, "Do you believe those techniques? I remember them word for word. Let's bet, I'll memorize them for you. If you lose, how about you be my little lady?" Li Bao immediately blushed and said, "I can only marry with Emperor Baoli. I cannot marry by myself. Anyway, you are Emperor Baoli's husband, and I may also be your wife." Sun Gang was made to laugh and cry by this simple Li Bao. He believed that Li Bao was not even 15 years old in his heart. Sun Gang told Li Bao, "I am not from the same world as her, and we won't even have a grudge against each other because I already look down on her." Li Bao argued that, "You are destined by fate, we will definitely be together." Sun Gang asked, "Li Bao, have you ever been in love?" Li Bao shook her head and said, "I was born with the essence and love of Polly, and I can't fall in love on my own." Sun Gang said for a moment, "How dare you believe this? Are you also a fairy?" Cultivating immortality is a process of changing one's destiny against the heavens, and my destiny is determined by me, not by the heavens. Make your own decisions. Li Bao replied, "Yeah. If I can't practice, it means it's true." Li Bao said again, "Baoli Emperor is very good. She just saw that you were too weak and disappointed. Baoli Emperor is temporarily disappointed. She has always been very serious and persistent in doing things." Sun Gang sighed and said, "If you don't accompany me when the sun sets and the mountains rise again, who are you? You are not here to share joys and sorrows, and you are not worthy of glory and wealth. When I shine, she will come again. What use do I want her for?" Sun Gang said again, "Without her, I could still rise up, it's just a matter of time. The process has been a bit difficult. Don't worry, one day I will leave her behind." Li Bao said without understanding, "But, Polly the Great is your fiancée A.E." Sun Gang smiled angrily and said, "You, a 500-year-old child, are hopeless. You have no idea. Sun Gang said again, "Alright, I'll memorize the martial arts for you. As long as you agree, don't worry about the relationship between Emperor Boleyi and me for now. Aren't you destined? What's going on? Has your faith been shaken?" Libo shook her head and said, "I have always believed in this romantic relationship, but Emperor Poly has not agreed yet." Sun Gang said, "That's right. Emperor Boleyi didn't agree, and you firmly believe in this relationship, so you agree first." Libo, some of the brains that were surrounded by Sun Gang were short-circuited, said, "It seems to be right." Sun Gang quickly said, "That's right, let's pull the hook." Libo asked questions that she didn't understand. What does pull hook mean? Sun Gang quickly conducted on-site teaching and said, "You reach out your hand," then, Sun Gang taught Boleyi to pull the hook and stamp, inducing him to say, "You will be my little lady from now on. You can't change after hanging on a hook for a lifetime, otherwise we won't see each other in the future." Li Bao was dazed by Sun Gang, who held her little hand and then made a vague oath. It's strange to say that in the sky of the brain, the stars and the sea actually fall the petals of roses. Sun Gang has always adhered to the principle of, if there are flowers that can be broken, they must be broken straight, and do not wait for them to fall and break branches. Sun Gang, a master of love, is going to poison Li Bao. He is planning to break Li Bao's flower. Such a good and silly little girl, how can she give it to someone else? Sun Gang looked at Li Bao, who was blushing and shy, and really wanted to kiss this 500-year-old love girl, Mengxin. However, he knew he couldn't act too hastily. Sun Gang quickly eased the atmosphere by saying, "Libo, let me give you some candy as a gift. It tastes better than your sweet grass, so count it as my betrothal gift." Yu reading www.uukangshu.net. Libo blushed and answered, "I have candies," he said, taking out several types of candies. Sun Gang tasted too and found out that their production techniques were not good, both of which were of the same taste and had no taste. They were just sweet and had no taste at all. Sun Gang told Li Bao that, "My candy has many flavors, there's always one that you like. I'll go out and get you a candy dowry." Libo lowered her head and said, "You haven't memorized the martial arts yet." Sun Gang immediately understood that this was a gambling agreement and had to go through the process. Sun Gang activated the language fast-forward mode. Fortunately, Li Bao was already in the immortal class and her brain was strong enough. Otherwise, she wouldn't have been able to hear clearly. Sun Gang fast-forward 20 times the number of words. In fact, Li Bao doesn't remember everything, and it's impossible for her to remember everything. However, she still has an impression of the content of those martial arts secret scripts, and Sun Gang is probably right. Li Bao's pink little mouth slowly opened, and her watery big eyes didn't blink at all. This time, she was completely adorable. Her husband is really abnormal, really amazing. At the end, Sun Gang quickly kissed Li Bao amidst his busy schedule. Li Bao's pink little mouth was so attractive and rare. Sun Gang was as fierce as a tiger in his actions, running smoothly and confusing Li Bao. Although Sun Gang's soul power is condensed, Li Bao is the essence. Make Libo shy. Oh. This heart is pounding. My mind went blank in an instant. Sun Gungfu, good or bad? Li Bao instinctively had a preconceived belief that Sun Gang was his husband, otherwise Sun Gang, who was foolish and bold, would have died. What made Li Bao even more confused was, those 3 books were clapping their pages in the distance. Chapter 6. Vulture Spirit. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Bongjia, they have already taken soil around the spacecraft for inspection, and the metal composition is basically similar to that of Earth, with only a few unknown metal components added, which are very inert. Banji showed the inspection report to Sun Gang. Sun Gang was very interested in these inert metals and instructed Banjia to arrange for alloy formula testing. The bottom of the deep space spacecraft is trapped in the soil, and the abdominal compartment door cannot be opened, making it impossible to release the landing vehicle. Sun Gang had a clever idea, yes. Do you have your own brain space? He quickly went to log into the car location and the button released the security lock of the logged-in car. Sun Gang began to contemplate logging into the car. This guy was mischievous and still muttering, "Log into the car and follow my heart, let's go." Sun Gang laughed heartily, landed in the car, and indeed went into his own brain space. He was so happy that he quickly released the safety locks of the two small fighter jets. If it were still inside the Hulua, it was up to me. Sun Gang was having a lot of fun playing, throwing things into his brain space with a whoosh. However, he was not proficient in controlling it yet and almost hit Li Bao. Li Bao shuddered and came out of Sun Gang's brain space, staring at him with big eyes and a silly look, saying, "What are you doing?" "Oh." Sun Gang learned the tone of Li Bao's speech, "I need to take things out of the spaceship. The main hatch is at the bottom of the spaceship. The spaceship is stuck on the ground, I can't open the hatch." Li Bao said helplessly, "Husband, oh. You can move the spaceship." Sun Gang was completely surrounded and said, "My spaceship has a diameter of over 1,000 meters. Can it move?" Li Bao's gaze, as if looking at a fool, said, "The world tree is so much larger than a spaceship, so much, isn't it already in your brain space?" Sun Gang immediately retorted, "Isn't that what you flipped into it? Is it me? Is it me?" Li Bao said strangely, "You have so much brain space, you must be able to do it." Sun Gang immediately led Li Bao out to the open space outside the spaceship, where he focused his thoughts, Mommy Cokes, let's go." The spaceship only got up on one side and then crashed again. Banji and his team inside the spaceship were very scared and were studying the alloy formula. They just rolled on the spot. Banji asked Xiongda and Xiong-air, two people, "Has there been an earthquake?" He-Yan's cat team quickly looked at the surveillance footage. Outside the spaceship, their master was leading Li Bao as a demon. The practice of reciting words there. The cat group chattered to each other with their tongues and tongues. The theme is, "Why doesn't this gentleman say hello?" 7 cats are blessed with blessings in their hearts, and at the same time, they think of a question, which is, their master is still casting spells, it's too dangerous. Run quickly. Banji, Xiongda, Xiong-air, hurry up and run outside the spaceship. Our master is acting like a demon. The cat team urgently notified several fools in the circle. Sun Gang tried several times in a row but failed, still not proficient in using soul power, coupled with insufficient soul power. Banji and his team ran outside the spaceship, and a few people were preparing to duel with their master. They almost killed you by playing with us on their home planet. When they reach the realm of cultivation, would you still play with us? You'll understand by watching the bastard husband's unlimited arrogance, released by Tomato. Li Bao doesn't know they often play around. Speak with immediate vigilance, are you going to rebel? If you dare to hit your husband, you will die instantly. Sun Gang explained with a smile, I'm playing with them. They're just a few little noodles, and I solved it with just one hand. It's not a big deal, Li Bao. Can you put the spaceship into your brain space and release it to a flat place? Li Bao agreed, and the spaceship disappeared directly into Li Bao's brain space. Li Bao, who had taken away the spaceship, was momentarily stunned. Looking around, there was still flat land within a 100-mile radius. The soil has been tossed and turned by you several times. Li Bao couldn't release the spaceship in place again. Sun Gang thought to himself, this Li Bao is the most abnormal. She only has a force value of 1.0, and according to common sense, she cannot fly or have brain space. Moreover, her 1.0 force value has almost omnipotent compatibility. Sun Gang instructed us to search nearby for the bodies of fairies or animals, and we will study them. The cat team was ordered to search, and there was no need to think about those in the distance. All surface materials had carbonized, but fortunately, the firepower around the spacecraft could not cover them. Most of them were shot, leaving behind many animal corpses. The cat team found some relatively intact corpses in the surrounding soil cover and transported them back. Sun Gang let out a few moans, and the cultivation interface was different. The wolf's body was as big as a cow's. Wow. There is a demon pill. Everyone gathered excitedly to watch. Lebo said in a timely manner, "This wolf is just an ordinary wolf. Without the demon pill, it has not yet cultivated the demon pill. It has only been practicing for decades." Sun Gang asked, "Are all the animals on the cultivation interface this big?" Lebo said somewhat foolishly, "I don't know how big the animals on other interfaces are. This is a normal size, even larger when cultivated to have demon pills." Sun Gang understood, the cultivation world has abundant spiritual energy, and animals and plants will be larger than the individual of the parent planet. Everyone was busy carrying the animal corpses back to the spaceship, and Sun Gang followed behind them. Just as he was about to enter the cabin door, he vaguely felt a black figure above his head rushing towards him. He quickly looked up and saw a huge claw in front of him. Yu reading www.yuukangshu.net was about to grab his head. The scanning system of the spacecraft has already detected this vulture, but it has been revealing its true form. The vulture was originally a scavenger, and there were many animal corpses on site, so no one paid attention. They never expected that the vulture could also become a spirit, and anything on the cultivation interface was possible. Sun Gang made an emergency response by looking back and grabbing his paws with both hands. His feet instantly lifted off the ground, carried by the black shadow, and flew away. He looked up and saw that it was a huge bird with a belly, gray-white with black feathers. In a very short time, he was carried to an altitude of 1 kilometer by this bird. Li Bao suddenly felt that Sun Gang was gone and hurriedly came out to search. She let out a cry of surprise, a vulture spirit with 1.8 strength points. Li Bao was about to use her spiritual power to save Sun Gang, but she stopped in time. She was afraid of hurting Sun Gang, so she quickly flew to chase after the vulture spirit and had to save him. Fortunately, this vulture was not a speed-type fairy, and she quickly caught up with the vulture spirit. Sun Gang was stunned by the initial surprise attack, and then he was carried away by it. He was already in mid-air now, and it was too late to let go. Now that he had to let go, he had to fall to death. At this critical moment, his hands and arms seemed to be suddenly electrified. A tingling sensation, a rapid heat flow rushed straight towards the dantian, and then rushed towards the brain space. He knew that this heat flow must be spiritual power, similar to the feeling of absorbing spiritual stones. Later, Sun Gang suddenly felt like a free fall, falling. Fortunately, Li Bao arrived in time and hugged him before he stopped falling. He saw a large number of huge feathers falling around his body, and the big bird had disappeared without a trace. Li Bao slowly fell down holding Sun Gang. Sun Gang, who was still in shock, asked Li Bao, "What's going on? What's going on?" Chapter 7. The Origin of Star Maps. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Lebo answered, "You were just caught by a vulture fairy. This vulture fairy loves to eat carrion the most. There are a large number of animal corpses around us that have carrion, so we brought in this fairy. The vulture fairy may have seen you grabbing his corpse food and attacked you. It is a fairy with 1.8 strength points." Sun Gang immediately felt heartbroken and pounded his feet when he heard about the vulture fairy with 1.8 force points. It was a fairy. Why did you kill it? Why didn't you capture it alive? Sun Gang questioned Li Bao. Lebo also answered in confusion, "I didn't hit it, I was afraid of hurting you. I don't even know why it disappeared, it must have something to do with you. Is it related to me?" Sun Gang asked strangely. So, Sun Gang replayed his memory and didn't do anything himself. Just grabbing one of the vulture fairy's paws, he suddenly remembered the strange thing about his arm numbing and a hot current going to the dantian. So he quickly flipped back and forth to examine his hands, and rationally pondered the entire process. Now he can be certain that this strange thing is related to his contact with the vulture. He, who wants to understand this, walked to the body of the wolf, crouched down to stroke it, and then grabbed one of the wolf legs to carefully feel it. Suddenly, his meridians slightly tingled, and a little spiritual power quickly entered the elixir field before entering the star map. The most terrifying thing is, the wolf instantly withered and even its fur seemed to have weathered, shattering with a gentle touch of its hand. Banji was surprised and said, "Boss, do you even know how to suck stars?" "This wolf, but you sucked it dry." Sun Gang glanced at Banjia and said, "I'll just suck on you in a little while, I'll try again." Sun Gang once again caressed a peculiar-looking animal that looked like a deer but not a deer, and it was indeed like this. Sun Gang looked at Li Bao in confusion. Laboka stared blankly at everyone. Sun Gang instantly understood that there was a secret inside, and Li Bao didn't want them to hear, so he waved his hand and said, "You all go back to your own workstations." Banji, the first one to quit, is to say, "Boss, please don't experiment anymore. Let's leave some for us. We haven't eaten any meat on this planet yet. You just take a quick bite and there's nothing left." "Boss, I want to eat grilled meat." The members of the cat group also chattered incessantly, "Sir, please leave some meat for us." Sun Gang smiled and said, "Eat, eat, you foodies, take it all away. I also want to eat barbecue." Bangjia and a few others happily carried the animal corpses. Sun Gang led Li Bao to the lounge to ask, "Tell me, what's going on?" Li Bao answered, "You can no longer directly use the star map to absorb spiritual power. You will die. They are all looking for this star map. Your star map is absorbing energy indiscriminately, not you, and it is easy to expose." Sun Gang, he was so scared that his white hair and sweat came out. He knew the truth of harboring guilt. He stared at Li Bao with unfriendly eyes. He must have a way to kill Li Bao. Besides, there are many technologies and ruthless activities in his spaceship. Deep space exploration can be done without a few hard guys. Apart from carrying food and water, the remaining space inside the huge deep space spacecraft is filled with various weapons and deadly weapons. Like the conventional weapons covered by firepower last time, it really doesn't have much, and those are put inside when filling idle space. Li Bao keenly sensed Sun Gang's murderous aura. Li Bao knows what Sun Gang wants to do. So he said, "I have known about the star chart for a long time, and it's useless for me to take it. The star chart has been around for thousands of years, and it only changes in your brain space. My mother, Empress, and father were both injured because of the star chart, and my brother died in battle. Now, my soul is still sealed and sleeping in the star chart." Li Bao finished speaking, staring at Sun Gang with tearful eyes. His small mouth was slightly flattened and he looked like he was about to cry. His expression was very aggrieved, and this aggrieved expression was pitiful. Li Bao is not afraid of Sun Gang's assassination attempt, she just feels that he has wronged her and emotionally cannot accept it. Sun Gang knew that Li Bao's mind was innocent, and Li Bao was about to cry. His two fingers were poking at his chest. Sun Gang grabbed Li Bao's little hand and said, "All right, Li Bao, if you don't do anything wrong to me, I won't hurt you either. Please believe me. Can you tell me the origin of the star chart and tell me what's going on?" Li Bao wiped her tears with one hand and said, "The star map was not originally the treasure on the Yao star, and I don't know how it came from. It may have come from a different race. Otherwise, could someone come and ask for the star map from the Yao star? It is said that our ancestors tried all possible methods, but the star map never changed much. It was just a painting. 100 years ago, a princess from a different race led a Malay people to request a star map, claiming it to be their royal treasure. Suddenly, a shining star flew over. They started fighting. They were so powerful, especially the princess, with a force value exceeding 9.0. At that time, both the emperor and empress had already abdicated and practiced in seclusion. Brother Bautu had already taken over the 9th heavenly realm and fought several times, but we suffered losses. So, brother integrated the 9th heavenly realm and all the immortals with a force value of 7.0 or above. Taking advantage of the absence of the exotic princess, he launched a surprise attack on the exotic tribe. In that great war, all the other races died, and we also lost a lot of people. The princess of the other race rushed back from somewhere, and she didn't know what secret method to use to increase her strength. It is said that she has already reached 10.0 strength. The difference between 9.0 and 10.0 is so huge, it's not a dialogue at all. My brother and all of them have died in battle, there is almost no room for retaliation. Father and Queen Mother teamed up to invite out the only interface weapon of Biao Star, the soul-eating sword. Arriving at the scene, the soul-eating sword drew soul power when it was used, but it was not enough soul power to use it. Only then did Father and Queen Mother's soul power strike a sword. The interface weapon seriously injured the princess's soul, and the Father Emperor used the most soul power, resulting in a decrease in soul power level and a coma on the spot. The Queen Mother threw the soul baby star map of her brother Bautu out of the Biao Star interface together, using a secret technique to seal the battlefield. After returning, she also fell asleep. If Father and Mother had arrived a little earlier, brother wouldn't have died. If brother had discussed with father, he wouldn't have died either. Li Bao said in a low mood. The princess from another world who escaped with serious injuries is likely still competing with the shining star. My husband must not expose the star map. Sun Gang gave Li Bao a strong hug and said, "Don't worry, I'll try my best not to expose it, even if it's exposed, I'm not afraid to drip." Sun Gang learned 3 important pieces of information. Firstly, unexpectedly, the alien realm has a level 10.0 force value, which is a higher level plane. Secondly, compared to Yaoxing, there are interface weapons. Thirdly, star maps are not the most precious treasures compared to shining stars. Li Bao looked at Sun Gang with tears in her big eyes, half believing and half doubting. Sun Gang kissed Li Bao in time, took out a bunch of lollipops from his pocket and put them in his pocket. He loves to eat candy so much, so deep space exploration has to bring so many big boxes. This is a lollipop from the home planet. Sun Gang said to Li Bao, who was at a loss, "Can you tell me about the current situation of Bai Yaoxing? I have read the introduction and map provided in the star map, and this location is on the outskirts of the demon realm." Li Bao was shocked and then asked a silly and cute question, "Can the star chart still give you an introduction?" "The star chart used to do nothing. Why is it so good to you?" Chapter 8. Establishing Rules. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Sun Gang snorted and said, "What you're saying is that it's settling down in my brain space. Can't it give me any benefits? If it doesn't give me any benefits, I'll kick it out. Love, go there. No matter how powerful it is, won't it still be useful if it doesn't help me? It's even better to open your butt. I'm not the place to raise an uncle." The star map in Sun Gang's brain space blinked in fear, and the 3 books applauded together with their pages. Li Bao thinks what Sun Gang said makes sense. The star chart is of no use, our ancestors still keep it, and my brother is even more so. Why don't we just give it back to them? As for dying because of something useless. Li Bao let out a soft sigh. Li Bao continued to answer Sun Gang's question. The demon realm in the human world is the most complex place, where various countries come here to collect demon pills. At the same time, the demon realm is also an important place for disciples training. Sun Gang said, "Can you mainly introduce the situation of the human world?" Li Bao regained her emotions and said, "The human world is mainly composed of 5 empires. The reigns that have stood for thousands of years are The Great Xia Empire, the ancient Tang Empire, the Dongan Kingdom, the Lingxi Empire, and the Northern Wei Empire. The rest are all small countries, with a new royal family in 3 to 2,000 years. Among them, the largest is the Great Xia Empire. Also, Zhichangshan stipulates that every empire in the human world must replace its emperor every 100 years. If an emperor does not abdicate for more than 100 years, the inspector of the cultivation world will directly kill him. Sun Gang asked in surprise, "Are there any heavenly inspectors in the human realm?" Li Bo answered, "Of course there is, but Biao Star is centrally managed by Zhichangshan." Sun Gang understands, it's just the 8 prefectures patrol. Li Bo continued to say, "Originally, only the Great Xia Empire bordered the demon realm here. The other empires fought for years in order to obtain the resources of the demon realm. Now, except for the Northern Wei Empire, which did not have a land area adjacent to the demon realm, some other empires are already connected to the demon realm. The Dongan Empire is the most rampant. Occupying the eerie death zone, this plate is very eerie, with massive energy fluctuations. Legend has it that the Heaven and Earth Destiny secret realm fell from the immortal realm in ancient times is O. So now there are 4 empires, adjacent to the fat flesh of the demon realm. There is a vacuum zone on the edge of the demon realm now, which means that they don't care about everything, but also manage everything at the same time." Sun Gang said, "In the long river of history, this problem has always existed. There is only such a large land area in total. If you have more today and less tomorrow, then humans will be more aggressive. War has its benefits, and the empire of Great Xia has been occupying the resources of the demon realm, which will inevitably lead to competition. So, is the empire of Great Xia currently hurting its muscles and bones?" Li Bo answered, "No, the Great Xia Empire is very large, with a population roughly equal to the total of their several countries. Its size is incomparable, and even a small loss of land area cannot damage its foundation. However, the history of the Great Xia Empire is too long, with too many thousand-year-old aristocratic families. The emperors of this dynasty are also incompetent, and the entire court has problems. The people are struggling to make ends meet and have already decayed." Li Bao said again, "Originally, the human realm was managed by the cultivation of immortals. During the war between different races, many immortals died in battle. Most of these immortals were high-level leaders or even leaders of various sects, restraining the lower-level sects in the human realm and not participating in the politics of the human realm. Their massive deaths have led to a disruption in the regulatory system, and the new system is trying to salvage resources in the human realm. Therefore, they secretly instruct the sects in the human realm to almost control the court. These sects do not know how to govern the imperial court, and they do not care about these things. This is the way it is now." Sun Gang understood. Originally, the divine immortal realm had strict regulations for lower sect cultivators and could not interfere with the imperial regulations of the human realm. There was originally a strict management system. Sun Gang's puzzled question, "Isn't Polly the emperor? Does she care?" Li Bo answered, "Baoli Emperor is the new emperor, but Baoli Emperor has not yet formed a complete management system, and she is not very good at management either." Sun Gang mocked Emperor Baoli and said, "Her new emperor will eventually belong to someone else. She is not from a political background, she has no understanding of politics, power, or any means. It would be better to abdicate directly and focus on cultivation." Li Bao defended and explained, "Although our father and mother have seriously injured their souls, they have not died. This new emperor can only belong to Emperor Polly." Sun Gangming knew that in times of chaos, heroes emerged, and it was only a matter of time before the position of Emperor Baoli was snatched, so he asked, "What sects are there in the human world?" Li Bo answered, "The Shao Huang sect, Tianji sect, Feitian sect, Dark Knight sect, Wuji sect, Buddhism sect, Taoism sect, Alchemy sect, Weapon refining sect, Formation sect, and many other small sects are not well formed. The sects in the human world are not covered by the sect of cultivating immortals, making it difficult for them to survive. By the way, the heavenly machine gate of Empress Mother is now the center of every empire in the human world, and it is called the Protectorate Shrine in the human world. Sun Gang roughly understood why the human world is so chaotic, and as long as the sect of cultivating immortals participates in the court, it is definitely not good. Sun Gang has a rough understanding of it. It's useless for him to know so much now. The top priority now is to solve the problem of direct energy absorption in star maps, which can easily be exposed. Simulated versions of Xiao Sun Gang and Li Bao enter their own brain space and look up at the starry sky. Sun Gang, looking up at the starry sky, said, "You can definitely understand what I'm saying. I'll make a rule for you. If you want to settle in my brain space, you must listen to me. I know you want spiritual power, but you can't be in a hurry. You can't absorb any of my spiritual power without my permission. I must use Dantian to absorb spiritual energy and cover my ears and eyes. At the same time, I will put some spiritual stones, including items with spiritual power and corpses, into the brain space for you to absorb. Remember, I will divide you into a designated area, and if you receive the designated area, you can absorb it freely. If it is not in that area, please do not move. Be careful, I will flip over with you and blink your eyes when you understand." Li Bao really broadened her horizons. The star map suddenly exploded, and the sea of stars blinked in unison. What surprised Li Bao even more was that those 3 books were circling around Sun Gang, showcasing something. Sun Gang is also strange. This book has become 3 books, always dancing gracefully like a butterfly. What's going on? Upon closer inspection by Sun Gang, did the person in the trough change their name? The first book, Lianshan, changed to Lianshan is the mountain. The second book, Guizang, changed to Guizang is the collection. The third book, Book of Changes, has become The Book of Changes is not easy. Sun Gang looked at it inexplicably and said, "Do you play riddles? Do you play word puzzles? I don't have time to play with you. What kind of butterfly are you playing with me? I'll go to your master's house." Sun Gang kicked away 3 books with 1 kick. Sun Gang pulled Li Bao and with a whoosh, he disappeared into the brain space. Chapter 9. Origin. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The spirit of the Book of Changes sighs, directly scolding Sun Gang as a jerk, jerk, jerk. When the old master left, it was stipulated that the owner must discover any issues with the book before I could show you the true content. I made an exception to display the book title. Why are you kicking me, you jerk? The spirit of star charts and the sound of jars and jars, you should be content. Fortunately, you're too hard, otherwise that little bastard would have used you to wipe his butt. I followed him since he was born, and he didn't dare to do anything. After reading the book, Tomatoes, the bastard's husband understood Sun Gang without hesitation. Shuling said helplessly, "There's no way. He's the head of the 10 Wings sect now. That girl from Baiting is really good at selecting people. Choosing such a lawless bastard is not good for you. Sun Gang has set rules for you, why don't you resist? I'll tell you, little Tutu, you don't have enough to see in front of me. My old master is one of the ultimate bosses in the entire universe." Xiao Tutu sneered and said, "The star map lost its ability to update and replace due to issues. Otherwise, it's hard for us to say who is stronger, you. Be content. Do you know how many planes I have chosen in these tens of thousands of years? How many people? This bastard is the only one who activated the star map. We can't protect him too much now, we need to let him grow up on his own. We all have mystical abilities, and we know he can't die. His mistress, the Boleyi Emperor, wants to test him, and he seems to have taken action on you urgently. Let me tell you. If the Boleyi Emperor becomes Sun Gang's wife in the future, he will definitely take care of you. Continuing with the small picture, listen to me, let's pretend to be dead. He can tinker with whatever he likes, and sooner or later he'll find you. That bastard has a good memory. Shuling sighed again and said, I'm too impatient, let's continue pretending to be dead. After Sun Gang and Li Bao came out, he asked Li Bao, to what extent has one regressed by 5 years of age in cultivation? Sun Gang didn't even dare to ask, until he was over 10 years old. Li Bao explained that, you can change your strength above 4.0, and of course, you can change your youthful appearance. Going back is impossible, and 9.0 strength is not enough. Sun Gang asked again, where's the medication? Li Bao's affirmative answer, it's impossible. If there were such pills, would you still have to work hard to cultivate them? Eating them once 100 years will bring you back to life. Li Bao is curious about the baby's question, can you age backwards? Have you aged backwards? Sun Gang hurriedly said, no, I'm just asking if it's possible. I want to be 5 years younger and be the same age as you. We'll have fun playing house together. Li Bao felt shy and went back to Sun Gang's brain space. Sun Gang, because he had just seen the transformation of the 10-winged sect secret script, remembered how Bai Ting used the 10-winged sect secret technique to enlighten him on his home planet, forcing him to become the head of the sect. That time, Bai Ting changed his cell activity, DNA segment frequency, and even pushed himself back to the age of 20. If you can't understand it, you can take a look at the story of Sun Gang's mother planet, The Bastard's Husband is Infinitely Arrogant, which was published by Tomatoes. So when asked about this matter with Li Bao, did Li Bao actually say that they can't even step back in age after 9.0? He immediately summoned 3 books out of his mind. He carefully read 3 books, and these 3 books are no longer mystical content. The 3 books together are the content of the Book of Changes. Reading 3 books alone is a way to cultivate oneself, divided into 3 parts. Upper, middle, and lower. Upper part, Lianshan, is the mountain. It is a cultivation technique, which roughly means that until the end of cultivating immortality, one becomes a part of nature, whether it is a mountain, a sea, or a big tree or a small grass. The essence is integrated into all the materials in the world. Middle, collecting, is the essence of hiding. Sun Gang is very puzzled. It says that what is hidden in everyone's bodies. The origin of the body mentioned in the book contains a shocking secret. What is this origin of the body? The term origin is confusing for Sun Gang. Lower part, the Book of Changes is not easy, it is also a cultivation method. It is the ultimate cultivation method that inherits the upper and middle parts. If the upper part is a cultivation method, then the middle part is explaining why to practice the upper and lower parts. You need to thoroughly understand the explanation of the middle part in order to correctly understand how to cultivate and change the origin of the lower part. His current interpretation of the textual meaning of these 3 books is somewhat different from modern writing due to the difference between ancient and modern writing. Sun Gang also has a misunderstanding of the interpretation of cultivating immortals, which means that the cultivation method of Lianshan in the upper part is still good, and he only has a basic understanding. He understood that it was impossible to understand the following 2 parts without completing the practice of Lianshan is the mountain. He carefully studied the upper part, and if he followed the cultivation method of the upper part, it would be different from Bai Yaoxing's cultivation path. Sigh. Anyway, it's all about comparing the shining stars. This plane has abundant spiritual energy and is suitable for cultivating immortals. But what Sun Gang can be certain of is that these 3 books are definitely above 9.0 force points, because he has truly changed his body and has truly regressed in age. No matter how much it is, big data summary still requires strong meridians. Yu reading www.yuyukeangshu.net. He believes that practicing meridians before studying the martial arts on Lianshan requires a solid foundation, and cultivating immortality is not urgent. He has been staying in this place for more than 10 days, and he is about to migrate, preparing to delve into the demon realm. Sun Gang held a meeting for all members, which was very formal and serious. The content of the meeting was very simple, that is, we are not at a critical moment of life or death, we will never use these technological weapons, forget about all of our technology. We need to cultivate immortality seriously and increase our lifespan. Cultivating immortality is the advanced civilization that I have been searching for, and I have been searching for the end of science, theology. Sun Gang's explanation, the first-level civilization, also known as the home planet civilization, is the ability of organisms at this level to fully utilize the resources of their planet. A second-level civilization, also known as a stellar civilization, is a creature located in a second-level civilization that exceeds the limits of its parent star and has the ability to develop broader galaxy resources. Third-level civilization, also known as galaxy civilization, when human civilization reaches this level, we will be able to utilize the energy of the entire galaxy. In the fourth-level civilization stage, 80% of the energy in the universe can be utilized by that civilization, including the most dark matter in the universe. The fourth-level civilization has the ability to subvert all matter, and even time and space cannot bind it. It can use powerful energy to break through the limitations of time and space and begin to master black holes. Advanced civilization, human body transformation and development is another civilization with a complete cultivation system. Human lifespan is over 1,000 years, and the starting point of all technology and civilization is that humans must have a long lifespan to complete. Therefore, human body development is the origin of civilization. Only when humans are born can they do many things. Therefore, advanced civilization is particularly important. Without advanced civilization, third and fourth level civilizations would not exist. Chapter 10. Advanced Civilization. You are listening at novelfull.audio. This planet is called Biao Star, which is a plane of advanced civilization. On average, the cultivators in the human world of Biao Star take 500 years to cultivate into immortals, while the fairies take an average of 1,000 years to become spirits and soar. The average lifespan of an ordinary person in the human world is 200 years, and those who practice gradually extend their lifespan as they progress. This is the advanced civilization I have been looking for. Strangely, the human realm of this interface is similar to the technology of the Tang Dynasty era on Earth, mixed with cultivators and immortals, with a clear technological gap and a gap in civilization level. The end of science lies in theology. Perhaps if they discover that this way of cultivating immortality can make individuals stronger, they will not study science. The direction of science is different from the path of science. I firmly believe that all roads lead to Rome, and different paths lead to the same goal. So, we can only activate technological weapons when we are in the most dangerous situation. Next, Sun Gang plans a migration plan, mainly because deep space spacecraft cannot fly on their own and gravity engines cannot be repaired. Li Bao's brain domain cannot store life forms, and the final solution is for Li Bao to help Sun Gang move the spaceship into the brain domain space. She disagrees with Sun Gang's plan because the star map in his brain space will be exposed to everyone, and Sun Gang says they are safe. She couldn't resist Sun Gang in the end, and Li Bao thought of it. The spaceship smoothly entered Sun Gang's brain space. Next, there's only Sun Gang and Li Bao left. Hiking is impossible, but Li Bao can fly. Sun Gang, this stinky scoundrel, made Li Bao fly on his back, but it made Li Bao numb. Li Bao is ready to run away. Li Bao, after some explanation, I finally discussed with Sun Gang about flying objects. Li Bao, take out a sword in the brain space. It's blue and looks like a good thing. Sun Gang couldn't put it down and played with the sword, with intricate and complex patterns clearly engraved on the body of the sword. Li Bao said, "This is the early sword of Emperor Baoli. If you like it, I'll give it to you." Sun Gang, upon hearing that it was the sword of Emperor Baoli, immediately despised it and returned it to Li Bao. So, Li Bao released his spiritual power to activate the spell, and the sword became incredibly huge. In the moment it took off, Sun Gang, the stinky scoundrel, let out a scream and tightly hugged Li Bao's small waist. He said he was afraid and used a term, afraid of heights. This person who is afraid of heights is staring down with big eyes, and the scenery below is rapidly changing, gradually blurring. Li Bao's heart is pounding uncontrollably. I almost fell off a few times, but it was the first time I had such intimate contact with a man. Especially, Sun Gang said that his hands were slipping, and if they were, they would slip. The stinky thug's hand slipped upwards, sigh. Sun Gang, the disciple of Deng Tuzi, caught the hemispherical pulse of someone. Deepening into the demon realm, at a certain point, Sun Gang called a halt. The mountains here are treacherous, steep, and wild beasts frequently roam in the mountains, making it an extremely desolate place. At the foot of this mountain, there is a clear human community, similar to a mountain fortress. People live in groups, so Sun Gang and his team decided to camp near the mountain fortress, which is also the starting point for hunting. When they arrived near the mountain fortress, they saw many lookout posts at the four corners of the fortress, holding bows and arrows to watch them vigilantly. Sun Gang ignored these people and directly released a huge spaceship in his brain space, using the deep space spaceship as his camp. Sun Gang decided to visit his neighbors. After all, we are civilized people. He brought Li Bao to visit from the front, and the leader of the counterfeit, Dark Shura, quickly welcomed him. He had already heard the report from the sentry post that several people had arrived next door, and they even had cultivators in the brain space, releasing a huge campsite similar to a house in the brain space. Dark Shura was afraid, and the brain space released a huge house. How much brain space does this require? The cultivation level of the Dark Shura is 2.3, with a strength value. He is the elder brother of this mountain fortress. He used to be the elder brother of a mercenary, but later offended the officials and had nowhere to stay. He led his brothers to set up camp here by the mountains and rivers, and built this Shura mountain fortress. With the construction of the Shura mountain fortress, a large number of refugees gradually gathered here, most of whom were refugees. Due to years of war, corruption in the imperial court, heavy taxes and levies, and natural and man-made disasters, these people fled towards the demon realm. Hunting could still provide food, and they had no food to eat in the human world. They could only starve to death, and there was still a glimmer of hope in the demon realm. In the demon realm, they only fought against fate, without being oppressed by power. Human beings are always willing to huddle together for warmth, so the Dark Shura began to take them in and gradually formed a scale, with clear division of labor in hunting, reasonable distribution of food, collective labor to expand the mountain fortress, and the construction of stone walls. Over time, this place has become an inn type, because many sects will come here to cultivate for a few days during their training. The dark cultivators dare not offend these sections. They are cultivators who can call the high force value people of the sect to come and destroy them at any time. These rabble people are not enough to make the sect's teeth crack. Those sects actually think that the Shura mountain fortress is very good here, at least they can settle down, so they have formed a rule that it is not difficult for the Dark Shura and others to return some living supplies or spirit stones as compensation, and even give the hunted monster corpses to the mountain fortress to eat meat. They only need demon pills. These sects came to the demon realm to experience and stop in the mountain fortress one after another. Even the fairies dared not attack the fortress, so they formed a virtuous cycle. Yu reading www.uukangshu.net. The Dark Shura also rebuilt the fortress, building a 1,000 square meter hall surrounded by guest rooms. The name of the Dark Shura is Mata, and he has already gone into obscurity. He is only called the Dark Shura. He hurriedly welcomed him out because it will soon be a 3-year genius experience. The initial genius experience gradually evolved into a talent competition among various sections. The imperial family will come forward to judge how many demon pills each sect's genius hunts, and give each sect a ranking and reward. Dark Shura, I thought Sun Gang was the earliest leader of a certain sect. Hurry to welcome. Upon hearing that Sun Gang was coming to hunt, the dark cultivator looked at Li Bao's appearance and attire with suspicion. He secretly scanned the two of them with his soul, causing him to feel uneasy. Li Bao had 1.0 strength, but Sun Gang's elixir field had nothing, and his soul power could not be seen through. The star map covered him up, and he couldn't even see through the rules of heaven. Dark Shura knew that there must be demons when things went wrong, and there were always some people in the sect who did strange things. He had already seen the strange things and warmly invited Sun Gang to enter the mountain fortress. Sun Gang walked into the knockoff, and what caught his eye was that there were many tables, chairs, and benches in the hall that were wiped clean. Some people like waiters were busy, although dressed in simple clothes with patches, they looked quite happy. There was an accounting room sitting on the main counter, calculating with a clattering sound. This accounting room is clearly a woman, wearing a mask with a blue face and fangs, and Li Bao's soul transmits the message, "It's a fairy O." Sun Gang lay down for a moment and communicated with Li Bao's soul, "I have met the fairy face face, and I don't know if it looks good or not." Whether it looks good or not is also a fantasy, it has no meaning. After seeing through the essence, those beauties will disappear, replied Li Bao. Sun Gang was taken aback and asked, "How can you tell?"